Hi, I'm Sophie.
Hi, I'm Paul.
And we are SP Film Viewers.
Hey, this is Paul. Just a little disclaimer before the episode starts. This recording with our guest was recorded on Discord. All being well, the quality of the audio is up to scratch, and there may be a couple of swear words here and there within the episode too, so just to bear in mind that, but nothing too serious. Hope you enjoy. So, we are joined by a special guest this time. We haven't had one in a good while now, Soph.
No, it's been a while.
Yeah. So we're very excited to be talking with another fellow podcaster, Mike Millitello. Is that right, or am I getting that completely wrong?
Millitello.
Millitello. Oh, it's almost right.
This is why I give it to you all the time, because I just said it completely wrong.
It happens all the time.
So thank you once again for doing this. We very appreciate your time.
Oh, no problem. No problem. Thank you so much for having me, guys.
So if you wouldn't mind, give us a little introduction about what you do and your podcast and everything, and just a little bit of background what you do.
I'm Millitello. Me and two of my other buddies, we do a podcast called Professionally Amateur, which is it started off as kind of newsy-ish, where we just talked about topics and kind of poked fun at it. But it's a very loose base, just hey, whatever we want to talk about, and it's very non-PC. The goal is to get a lot of people angry, and people seem to love it. I do it with it's myself, my buddy Paige, who's another Marine veteran that I served with, and then my tech guy who goes by Doofenshmirtz because his gamer tag nobody could pronounce right, so we just started calling him that.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have like a YouTube channel or like a Twitch stream that you do your things on then?
Yeah, we do a little bit of everything. So Professionally Amateur, you can find that on Spotify or wherever you guys get podcasts. YouTube is just Millitello, so that's Millitello, and that's where we put up gameplay videos as well as podcasts. Right now, there's no video up there for the podcast since I don't have actual internet right now. It makes it kind of difficult.
Sure.
Yeah.
But right now we do still put the audio up there with little characters there of us, as well as we used to stream on Twitch, which is just Millitello on Twitch there.
Mm-hmm.
And here in the future we're going to be doing live podcasts up there as well. Yeah, and then just it's Millitello on Twitter, Instagrams, all that stuff. If there's not many Millitellos, so if you type that in, it'll pull it up.
No, definitely not. Yeah, it should be fairly easy to come across. Yeah.
Definitely.
Is there any like particularly favourite topics you've talked about recently, or any games that you've enjoyed covering or enjoyed playing?
So topics, COVID's been pretty easy one to go with.
Yeah. Obviously, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I just got over having COVID too. They had me.
Oh.
Yeah, it sucked.
Yeah.
I bet, yeah.
But COVID, and then since I'm here in the States, the crazy election that was going on there.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
It's even been in our news.
What was that?
It's even been in our news. I know
about the US elections with Biden and
yeah. I literally was thinking, is there anything actually happening in the UK? Because we haven't seen any UK news.
No, everybody's been going crazy. It's rioters everywhere, people protesting. It's like I'm just trying to get to work.
Yeah.
But no, it's really easy to poke at people, and it's just poking a bear with a stick, and I love seeing the angry comments. Pretty thick-skinned here.
Yeah. So that kind of work, I guess you do need to be have that tolerance to it.
Yeah, and then as for games, we do a lot of Call of Duty videos, even though like a lot of people do that.
Mhm.
But actually, just before I lost internet, I downloaded an emulator. So I have a bunch of old. I've been playing the original Pokemon Red for like the Game Boy on my computer.
Oh gosh,
A really big fan here.
Yeah.
Literally now we're not going to even be talking about this movie. It's going to end up just being on about Pokemon because you are obsessed, aren't you?
Yeah,
you love
so,
it.
Yeah. Ever since obviously '98 onwards, when it first came out with the original Red and Blue and Yellow.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Now, right now, I just got to the tower with the ghosts there.
Did you play it back from when it first came out, or have you never actually?
This is my first time doing this one. My first one was gold version, and then that was the one with the one bird, Ho Ho or something like that.
Oh, yeah. Ho.
Merry Christmas.
Ho Ho Ho, yeah. And then after that, I did Ruby Red, and then I was like, well, I got this now, so I'm bouncing back and forth between that and I got a GameCube emulator also, so I've been playing Pokemon Coliseum.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, it's very different from the red and blue games and everything. But yeah, that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like the graphics were so terrible back then, I can't even recognize half the Pokemon on the game.
Yeah,
especially on the red cartridge. Yeah, if you notice that, you're like, what is this sprite that I'm looking at here?
Exactly. I'm like, I can't put any nicknames. I'm not going to remember anybody.
You take seriously, don't you, to the nicknames as well that you
Yeah,
give your Pokemon?
I do, yeah.
You like, when I play it, you're looking at me like, I don't even name them. I'm just like, I need to know what they are because obviously you can ask me what Pokemon I've got and I'm not going to know what they are if I don't change the name.
End up sending out the wrong ones there.
Yeah, because I'm so well conversed with all like the names and what they evolve into and all the research and stuff. I'm very much like, yeah, it's nicknamed that because that's what it turns into, or something relates to that, and it's got to be in a certain ball because there's all these other mechanics that in the later games you have. There's got to be, it looks got to be nice and pretty, and it's got to have certain stats, and it's all this technical stuff there wasn't at the beginning when you were just blasting through with a Charmander and that was it. But
that's what I'm doing now. Charizard's up to level 50 right now. All my other ones are level 10.
And yeah. And that's what most people did back in the day. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's great to know that you, as someone who enjoys Pokemon, always like people to converse with on that. Yeah, that's my main jam with games, really. That one, in terms of RPG series, at least.
Ooh, I love The Sims. I get pretty reckless with it. The only problem is, like, since most of my YouTube and Twitch stream is multiplayer there, because it's a lot easier to keep talking when you have other people, because you can sometimes get inside your head when you're talking, like, to yourself for a few hours.
Yeah, sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, whereas The Sims there, I can sit there for hours and play it, but I'll sit there in dead silence.
Yeah, I've got Sophie who loves The Sims.
I love The Sims.
Game.
I could play it all day and not get bored. Literally, But you look at me and you don't really get it, do you? You're like,
yeah, it's like me, you with Pokemon. It's like
yeah.
I can spend so much time on that, whereas I can spend some time on somebody, cooking.
But like you're playing God with this person.
Yeah.
Like literally, you are the owner. Like you can either make them have a really bad day or a really good day, and depending on how you feel, you're in control of this entire world. That's why I love it.
Yeah, you can either make them thrive, get a great job, or you just end up locking them in the basement, go to the creator there, and take out all the doors there and see how long.
Yep, I've done that before, and you can even put a swimming pool in, and you can make them drown, and you've only got a small little space if you want.
Yeah, really you take the ladder out of there.
Yeah. Oh, it's amazing. I love it. I download all the expansion packs. I'm a sucker for, you keep saying to me, literally, what else can they make a new expansion pack for? And I'm like, well, whatever it is, I know I'm going to get it.
I've never got to use the expansions. I've seen people use it, and I'm like, oh, come on, just one transaction. No, I can't do it yet. I'm like, I'm waiting for the ultimate one there, one that truly
is amazing.
Truly going to catch my interest.
Yeah, like a big old bundle of everything.
I love the big bundle ones. I'm not going to do like just like a laundry day £10 one. Like I can do my own laundry at home.
Experience that in virtual world now. Yeah. So I think we'll jump right into our
experiences and everything with the movie we're going to be talking about today. That's okay?
Sounds good.
So I picked out this one particularly because of the differences in the titles, for one thing. So for us in the UK, the film is called The Boat That Rocked.
I keep singing "Don't Rock the Boat, Baby." That's what keeps coming into my head.
And for you in the US, it was called Pirate Radio.
Yeah, and then once I Googled it, that's what kept coming up was The Boat That Rocked. I'm like, oh, apparently we're wrong over here.
Yeah, I think that's the original title, but I'm guessing it was maybe more like cut and dry with what the title of for you guys. No offense, like right, this is what it is. It's a pirate radio boat kind of thing for pirate radio stations. I don't know. Maybe that's the reason. They sometimes do that, don't they, with other films, like changing the thing to make it a bit more.
Yeah, probably just shortened it to simplify it there, just to catch you right there.
Yeah,
possibly. And as well, I've noticed, is it like the humour for like British/Americans is a little bit different. So maybe The Boat That Rocked
does sound like a British title. I don't know.
It does sound
in a weird way. Yeah, when you think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's directed by Richard Curtis. Now, have you seen any of his other films that he's directed before?
I'm not quite. Well, what are some other films there? I didn't quite dive into that part.
No, he's done things like Four Weddings. Oh, I think he's a writer on that. I think perhaps, but I know he's done like Love Actually and About Time.
No, I haven't.
No.
So basically, what you have to do now is you have to go and watch Love Actually because it's
not right now, but after this,
literally right now. Watch Love Actually. It's the best Christmas film ever. If you love Christmas,
I don't know if you love Christmas.
well, you should.
I got the red in the back. What do you mean? I love Christmas.
Yes. And you have to go and find Love Actually, and you have to tell us what you think.
It sounds like a rom-com.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
It is. Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
There's only been one rom-com I've enjoyed, and that was I think Just Friends with Ryan Reynolds.
Anything with Ryan Reynolds, I am there. I love him to bits.
Oh.
Yeah, I think I've seen that a while ago. It was
Yeah.
like early days with him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's old now.
Not a big rom-com lover then.
It has to hit just right. It has to have, because I feel like a lot of the rom-coms nowadays are focused, not sound sexist or anything, but they're mainly focused towards women there. Whereas it's hard to find one where it has one that appeals to both sides, and that can just be one actor. Like there was, like obviously you got Ryan Reynolds there, so you have that Van Wilder sense of humor in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then there's a Jack Black one I've been wanting to watch too. I can't remember what it's called.
Is it another Christmas one?
It might be
The Holiday.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, but I've been wanting to.
Yeah, over the holidays you might want to check that out because obviously it is more Christmas orientated.
Yeah, it definitely is, and it's got your Jack Black
humour. Yeah.
Put my teeth in.
Yeah, and Cameron Diaz is in it, so there's those aspects. You're familiar with those in their comedy stylings. So.
Yeah, so that one. Yeah, I've been wanting to check it out. It's just I haven't gotten off my lazy butt yet to do it.
Yeah. Well, interesting you said about the whole thing, like rom-coms being more female orientated. I do feel like this one is potentially more leaning towards the male side of things in terms of a romantic comedy in a way, because it's obviously a lot of male cast in this.
Oh, yeah.
Compared to the like one or two women that are featured in throughout the film, other than the sort of like the people who come to visit on the boat. But yeah.
Well, the big thing that caught my attention for this one was just I'm like, okay, I already love rock music and I love classic rock there, and so that's what really drew me in. This movie has one of the greatest soundtracks ever.
Definitely, I totally agree. Yeah, when I've obviously watched the film for the first time, and then I almost like immediately went and got like the CD with all the one that some of the highlights from the film, and obviously like then Google like what these other songs are called, because there's obviously so much rock and roll classics from like the 60s, 70s, and all that kind of stuff going on.
The only other recent movie I would say where it's something where you're going to love almost the entire catalog is something like Guardians of the Galaxy or something like that, where they focus so much on that. Yeah. Whereas this, it's like the whole importance of the story and what keeps it going.
Revolves around that pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
So like looking at the end credits, like where they list all the music they use to say, there's so many different things, and some of them are like only like maybe like 10 seconds of a song, and it's like that must have cost them a fortune to make, to have the license to use that 10 seconds or whatever it is for that.
Yeah.
But you're almost kind of like listening to like, I want to listen to that a little bit longer, please, because it's like it might jump for a favorite song that you like, and it's like, oh, no, I don't want to listen to that other one that you're playing now. But, yeah.
Yeah, well, this soundtrack here has my favorite band on there, which is The Who.
Oh yeah.
And then it's got my favorite song of all time in here also, which is it's called The Letter by the Box Tops.
Yes.
And I think that's way back in the 50s there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I never hear that in a soundtrack. And they did a great job placing, especially as it gets closer to the end of the movie. We're having these classic rock songs.
Yeah.
And then having them fit the mood. Like once they're supposed to go off the air there, and then they kick back on with My Generation. It's like, oh, you guys are geniuses.
Yeah. A bit of a sad, slow one is when the ship, obviously we're jumping around it, but obviously when the ship's near the climax where the ship is sinking, and it's like, here's a long track, and it's that White Shade of Pale, which is kind of like a melancholy, almost like Down with the Ship kind of song that's playing out. It's kind of like, oh, in the feels a little bit. Really, when you hear that.
Yeah, and then especially with that line, it's like, hopefully we get to hear the end of this one here. Or even when Bob and, I believe his name's Carl. Yeah, young Carl. When Bob and Carl there are Carl's trying to get Bob out of the boat as it's flooding there, and he's holding on to his one record there, and it's this sad, slow, melancholy song there that's playing.
Yeah,
it's perfect.
Cat Stevens one, I think, is it Father and Son? Yeah. It's obviously apt because it's he's realised his dad and everything. But
yeah,
that also, I watched it with my dad a while ago, and it kind of reminds me of him because he's very much into his vinyl records, and so I could imagine him being like, no, I don't want to let go of this my collection, like the Bob Dylan vinyls and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and then of course they get up there. It's like, oh, this record's garbage, and this throws it back into the water.
Yeah. And yeah, my dad was like, no, back in and get it.
Bob is such a Deadhead, by the way. For those of you who don't know, a Deadhead is a fan of the Grateful Dead.
Oh, right.
And everybody you see has that Jerry Garcia look there.
Okay. No, I didn't know that. No. But, what do you make of all the obviously the male leads and everything that we've got? We've obviously got a fair few, but in terms of the cast overall, what do you really make of them?
They did a great job. I think where they all fit together there to make it. It does have that romance in there, but where it's not like the main focus. Where it starts as, okay, this kid's troubled. We're sending him out here on the boat. Where later on you're finding out, okay, the mom obviously knows that the dad's here on this ship. And then so you have that story playing along with it, as well as you got Carl and I believe her name is Marianne.
Yeah, Marianne. And there was a song.
Yeah, and then you've got their love story going on as well. And then you're seeing these struggles of the other characters where the Count and Gavin are trying to find out who's the alpha male there, like when they play chicken.
Yeah.
And they did a great job having all these different stories where one doesn't take over too much with the other.
Yeah.
And where these characteristics there are shining through. And then you see they blend so well together with the story, as well as all the different characters there to give you this mass umbrella that just blends together so nicely.
Yeah, there are a few characters that do sit more back in the sidelines, but again, they're sort of like the members of like skeleton crew, aren't they? In terms of what they do as a role for the station, I guess. So you don't need to know about every single person that's on the boat.
Exactly.
But yeah, there's obviously more focus on some of the characters, like the marriage of Simple Simon, and his American wife, that
Eleanor.
Yeah, for like 17 hours or whatever it was that he was married.
I felt so sorry for him. It was like, bless him, he was really gullible, wasn't he? To think that this lovely, pretty blonde woman would want him.
The way he handled it too, like, I'm just a bit confused.
Yeah.
Trying to break
it's
it up.
Very British thing to do. Yeah.
It's like, oh, you'll probably hear us next door. Oh, that'd be lovely.
Bless him.
Musical differences, the reason for the divorce.
It was very well done as well with the scene, and don't get me on songs and such because I can't remember what song it was. When he kind of went on air the first time, and he was like looking like he was lip syncing to the song.
Stay with me, baby. I can't remember who it was who does the original version, but where he's like almost like pouring his heart and soul out into the song while he was singing. And then obviously he's back to normal when he's doing the radio live, but feeling like like he's not letting the side down with his burdening everybody with his troubles, really, which is kind of like comes across like as someone who should do in that professional business of that. So.
But to be fair, really, he'd only known her 2 weeks, hadn't he?
Yeah.
Can't love her that much.
Yeah, like even off the first time meeting her, like talking about marrying her and having kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit desperate.
And then she falls for it. Then right afterwards ends up in Dave's. He's like, "Hey mate, how's it going?" Like, "I see you." She's hiding under the blanket.
Yeah.
How good is it?
Like that was all supposed to happen in one day, but it's like that's a bit much for love in one day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do think the women in this, I think for me, look a little bit fickle. I think like you've only got one really strong female character and she's a lesbian.
Yeah.
And then the other ones are like all kind of screaming at all the men because obviously it's back in the day when like if I did that, I would not dream of doing that, right? Like even if like my idol was on a stage or something, I'd maybe shed a tear, but I wouldn't literally like go berserk and lose my shit because this person's on stage. But like literally they throw knickers and everything, don't they, at them? They're like,
pretty much, yeah.
I just don't understand.
Yeah, well, like even because Dave, he's the bigger set guy with the glasses from like Delta Farce and all that, Nick Frost.
Yeah.
Like they make him like this sex god, and it's like of all the people you choose him.
Yeah. Especially with the Marianne scenario, it's like, why would she go immediately straight to young Carl's like going to look for a condom, and then 2 minutes gone, and she's already in bed with him, and it's like, what's that about? I know it's like free and thing, but it's the 60s kind of thing, but it's a bit like, yeah, really.
Yeah, like don't you have any morals?
Yeah.
That's the hard part with Dave's character because he keeps trying to take Carl under his wing, but then he does things like that also.
Backstabby, yeah.
Like I don't really think I trust him that much, really, as a taking under your wing kind of man, even though he looks like he tries to do that.
Yeah, and then you get that other scene shortly after when Carl's going to sit in the room with all like the losers room, basically, where the people who aren't having the sex, and he's going to just sitting there moping, and then the other two come and like give him a cup of tea and a biscuit, and he's waiting. I thought that's quite a sweet thing, obviously not subduing straight away, and then he's kind of like, oh, okay.
And like you, at least Harold, you don't hear barely anything except for this and that. That's his longest shot on camera, just eating these cookies here.
Yeah.
I love it because it's a typical British thing as well.
Yeah.
Like
have a cup of tea and everything's okay.
Yeah, a cup of tea and a biscuit and you're fine.
Yeah, that was the thing I noticed a lot on this too, because I went through and I rewatched it before we did this here, and I'm like back and forth. Everybody's just like, oh, cup of tea for this, cup of tea for that. I'm like, oh, apparently a cup of tea fixes everything.
It does.
Yeah, that's our mentality. Yeah.
Love a cup of tea.
Yeah. And then we obviously have the other side of the spectrum with the sort of like the political government side of thing. You're like, oh, we want to shut down rock and roll stations, and it's kind of like almost like the very typical British, like what other cultures think that we are like, or we're all stiff upper lip and all suit and ties and dreary and everything. It's just like that.
No, they did a good job with Alistair as the main bad guy there, especially towards the end there. Once Twat tells him that the ship's going down. Better money on other things there. Whereas with Twat, you see that second side of him, even though he's not on screen, you see that compassionate side there. But Alistair's like, nope, I don't care. It's done with.
It's like when they had their Christmas scene, like obviously you know which Christmas party you wanted to be at. You wanted to be on the boat that rocked. But compared to like the political, oh, let's pop a cracker, and it being really like.
Oh, is a joke.
Oh, I was meaning to ask you guys. So is that crown there? I didn't understand that for the Christmas thing that where they were wearing the crowns.
Oh, you mean the hats? Is it?
Or the crackers with a joke.
Do you not have like paper hats in your crackers in the States?
No.
Do you
No?
not?
No, I had no idea what that meant. That was so over my head.
Right. Right, no,
So,
right.
what do you have in your crackers then? Do you have crackers?
No.
Really? Like literally like a little paper.
Thing that you pull and then you get a little toy or a joke or a fact in. No? Is that not a thing that
No. I mean, we got fortune cookies if you go to the Asian restaurants. That's about it. But
right.
I'm surprised that America are not jumping on this bandwagon because they would like merchandise the living hell out of this. Like,
Yeah, I'm surprised actually, yeah. All right. Yeah.
let me show you what a cracker looks like. Just bear with me.
yeah, because I saw the hats. I'm like, okay, so maybe this is just a thing they're doing on the boat. And then I saw it once they went to Alistair's party there. And I'm like, am I missing something? Have I been doing Christmas wrong this whole time?
Missing out, I think. 'Cause it's quite a fun thing to do and sort of like just a little fun like gesture with everybody to.
I love a cracker. Like literally, I'm surprised. It's literally really rubbish, and you pay like £3 or something ridiculous for them. But this is what a box of crackers would look like. So, and I don't know on the back, you should see how rubbish they are. You like literally get like a jumping frog.
Yeah, those are like the cheapest toys I've ever
seen. A pencil,
seen.
a pen, and it's really crap what you get in them. It's literally
Yeah.
It's like the cheapest cracker set, but they can go up in price, can't they? Like to ridiculously, like you could spend like £15, £20 on crackers, depending on what they put in them, because you can put anything in them.
Oh, so if you spend less on them, then you're not going to get quite as good stuff in it. That makes sense.
So I'm really interested about that.
So what's with the hat?
Well, you open it, you do your cracker, and then everybody around the table will be wearing the hat. I don't really know what the hat resembles and why we have it, but everyone would be wearing this hat, and you'd have a joke, and you'd have your toy at the table, so it makes it sound like we're really childish now, don't it?
Yeah.
I mean, we just open presents around Christmas tree, open the stocking, and then I watch Rudolph. That's right. I'm a 27-year-old man watching Rudolph still. I don't care.
Is that we recently saw that last year, didn't we?
Yeah, that's the one with the little claymation one, isn't it?
Yeah.
The snowman, yeah, and the abominals. Is it called the abominable snowman in that?
Yeah. Where he's angry till the end there.
Yeah.
I think even with the joke in the cracker there with Alistair,
It is.
like they did it, like they keep trying to dig in that this is a bad guy and like just doesn't enjoy any fun at all. Where he opens his cracker like, oh, that was funny, and then like doesn't tell it to anybody else there.
It's like, what's the joke? Because the other guy on the when he's reading on the boat and it's like reading the thing, it's like, oh, these are the facts.
Yeah.
Yeah. The largest mammal is the humpback whale.
Yeah.
I'm still fascinated that the US don't have crackers. I'm like, I can't believe it, but
I'm gonna have to order some this year.
Yeah.
Then change it up here.
definitely.
Yeah, that's another thing. Because when you said his name, Twat,
Twat.
Here over it's Twat. I don't know if that's something else that means something different in the States.
I don't think I'm allowed to say what it means.
I don't think we'd be allowed to say what it means either.
No, it's obviously it's a protest like obscenity that you call somebody. Yeah, but so it's always funny when you hear that from it's like, oh, good job, Twat.
Yeah.
It's just funny,
Yeah, I mean, like as soon as I'm like, no, that's not his name, and then he kept calling him. I'm like, okay, that's this poor guy's name.
Must have horrible parents.
Well, it'd be his surname, but yeah.
Oh, could you imagine those parents that name your kid that?
But to be fair, I like how he says it, the word twat, because ours sounds a little bit more abrupt and a bit more aggressive, I think, the way the British say it.
Yeah.
Twat.
It's really quick, and hits the point there every time he says it there.
Yeah.
Oh, but for Dave there, just really quick, I think, like how we were talking about how Dave there goes back and forth with Carl there, like taking him under his wing. I think another point where they tried to, I guess, like hit that one home there was when they're doing Never Have I Ever on the ship there. and he's talking about flat out just cheating on his wife that he had.
Yeah.
Like, oh well, she was mad
Yeah.
because I crapped the bed at 4 PM.
And he probably didn't explain to his wife why, because it's like, well, you don't want to get caught cheating. So instead, you look like an idiot who's gone in your bed and had a poo.
And they keep hammering home there with how terrible of a person Dave is there, but they still like make him kind of more of a lovable character with kind of his goofiness.
Do you know actually who I really liked, which it was weird in the end, and I normally get like a connection in a film and I'm like, oh, that's my favourite character. So like in Lord of the Rings,
Samwise Gamgee.
I love him to bits. He's like my favourite. Like I don't even care about Frodo and his travel. I'm like, just tell me about Sam. So I think for me, the Count, I really
Yeah, this time around I've really gelled with him as the late great Philip Seymour Hoffman. He played that role really well as a lead, one of the main leads. Yeah, and he's just really a humble guy.
Yeah, I know, like he has that kind of banter with the other American man who, I don't like him whatsoever. He's quite obnoxious.
Oh, Gavin?
Yeah, he does my head in. Every time he's on the scene, I'm like, oh, he's just one of those characters that I don't gel with because he's just so cocky. Yeah. Whereas the Count seems quite humble, quite down to earth, and he wants to actually be on the ship.
They did a great job casting him for that. He does good in that. He does great in that role. Even like when they're playing chicken there, when they're climbing up the mast there, and he's like wop bop blue da doo bam boo, and then when he hits the water, just yells tutti frutti.
I love it.
But then you see that more humanistic factor there once they know that they're about to get busted there, and he says this is the greatest days of our life there. He does a great job transitioning from those funny goofy parts and then the leadership part, as well as seeing the serious part there of everything like coming to a conclusion there as well. And Philip Seymour Hoffman was a great, amazing actor there, and he does really good with that diversity there.
Definitely does. I think he has a little bit, I don't know why, Jack Black kind of came to me a little bit, the way that he spoke, and kind of, what's that song that you maybe listened to once and I was like, the greatest song ever, isn't it?
Tenacious D?
Tribute, yeah.
Yeah. It kind of reminded me of that when he was like kind of doing his air talking sometimes.
Coming across that way, yeah, very much. Rock and roll, yeah.
This movie really makes me think like that's a job I would love to do. Like if you love music and even with like doing a podcast or game streaming there, you kind of get to do that, but without the music there. Whereas you just sit there, you have this whole plethora of records, play what you want, have a little talk show on there too.
Yeah.
And you can tell these guys are just having so much fun with it too.
Yeah, they're loving it, aren't they?
Yeah, they all seem to have a good connection, even though, like if they're sleeping around with various women on the boat and everything, but they're kind of just having fun on most of the time.
Yeah, but you can feel that family kind of connection. When they need to be, they are there for one another. But obviously, you've got you.
Yeah, in a lads thing, isn't it? Yeah.
But even in any family, you're not always going to be like getting along all the time.
like when Angus can't swim and Philip Seymour Hoffman and the other guy, they just throw him overboard. Like, oh, maybe you're supposed to do that with babies. He's like, I can see the bottom. It's like, goodbye, and then he just starts going down. Whereas it shows that family aspect there of they're trying.
Yeah.
But it's like this ultimate dysfunctional family.
Pretty much is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, do you know who else we haven't actually? Kevin. We haven't actually spoken about him. I'm not sure how I feel about him.
Oh, Thick Kevin with the charades.
Yeah, he's like way too.
He's a good person. He's got a lot of friends.
A nice guy, and it's like, you're not talking about Jesus, are you? It's like, yeah. Why did you just say
the Son of God? Was he?
Is he? Yeah.
And then he finally makes sense once he gets like drunk there, where without Thick Kevin, he wouldn't push Carl there to that this might be his dad, and to think that of all the people that kept this part of the movie pushing forward there was Thick Kevin. Is like,
I know, because I didn't think really Bob seemed to be a dad. Well, he looked like a dad, but I was thinking he wouldn't actually be Carl's dad. I don't know. I really still thought But I think this is recently we've been watching these films where it's had a twist on the end, and I think I'm still in that head zone where I thought, oh, it's going to trick me, and actually his dad's going to be.
You were probably thinking the Count then.
No, I think she thought it was like Bill Nighy's character,
Yeah.
Quentin. Thinking it was, because that mention at the beginning was she's like a sexual.
Yeah.
What was it? Yeah, sexual queen or something. Whatever
Yeah.
he said at the beginning. Yeah. So it's kind of like maybe there's like a false lead on.
I think
that.
so.
Yeah, it might throw you, but
I'm quite gullible, aren't I? I believe anything.
They did a good job though, where you notice once Carl comes onto the boat, all of a sudden Bob comes up for breakfast there with the rest of them there, and he's been on the boat for 7 months, but they had no idea that he's been there that whole time.
Yeah.
Whereas I think that shows where Bob already knows, and he's trying to get close to his son, but since he's so far off from everybody else there, he has to ease his way into there, and then you start seeing him pop up in more and more scenes. Whereas he's even in the wedding there to Eleanor there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does seem to be popping up a little bit more.
But I think they did a good job in the movie there of easing him into that.
Got any more notes?
I thought Gavin is a pain in the arse, but I've already brought.
Yeah, established that. Yeah. But I agree, he's a bit of a sleazy, even with his mannerisms.
Yeah. He gets a little bit better there towards the end, which, I mean, you have to do with the character. The whole time, because occasionally when I see a character from another movie, like that's all I can think about is that other movie I've seen him in.
Yeah.
And he's in a movie called The Replacements, where he's the kicker on this football team that's got Keanu Reeves in it. And all I can think of it, and he was just a drunk, and he'd go out there to kick and smoke a cigarette. I'm like, this is the same exact guy. This guy's playing the same exact asshole character.
Yeah, you do get people like that. A bit like Bill Nighy, who sort of plays that kind of like sort of semi-flamboyant, but not kind of in like a cool, suave way, in the way that he just seems to do in all the roles he does.
You see in this, especially if you watch Love Actually, you kind of get a certain
very sense of the similar vibes from that. So
and the same characters, so that the same actors, they've kind of got quite a few acting casts.
Again, I think that's Richard Curtis doing that. Working with cast that he's already worked with in the past, and if they work and they gel, then why not use them again?
Yeah.
But we did have Emma Thompson's mother role.
Yeah.
Which that was a different character kind of for Emma Thompson, because normally she's quite a not such a bluesy with her knickers, and she's a little bit more down to earth, like a mum role kind of thing, not a mum, but not a mum. Is she really this mum?
Yeah, she wasn't a good mom on this.
No. Oh, my son's got problems, we'll just put him on this boat. And I'm thinking, well, I'm guessing her intentions was obviously for her son to meet his dad. But like
trying to do it in like a passive way.
Yeah, not actually talking to her son about it and being open and honest.
Yeah, because she knows and whatnot, because she even says, like, oh, how long ago did you hook up with Bob? Like, oh, how old are you then? Oh, there was 19 and a quarter years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she's not the most caring motherly role in this.
I wouldn't want her as my mum, to be fair.
Yeah. Any other pointers you want to discuss?
I thought I had one. Oh, another part that I liked is when they're playing chicken there, and then after Gavin jumps off, like I think it's next to Dave about his cheating wife and how he crapped in the bed at 4 p.m. is when the Count's up there, he's getting ready to jump off the side. He's like, I don't even like Simon. And then it comes off at the end there where they're all just ragging on Simon.
Yeah.
I think that's a good part there, showing that dysfunctional family there and how they all mesh really well together. Because you can tell they do love him, like in that brotherly love there. But somebody's got to be the butt of all the jokes there, and unfortunately, Simon's that one there.
You always have that though with a friendship, don't you? Like I know you do with your friendship.
Yeah, everybody has.
You have this one guy that you just pick on, and it's.
Yeah, we don't mean it malicious, but it's just in jest. But we know.
If he wasn't there though, you'd miss him. That's the thing.
Yeah,
you value him that much.
Yeah,
That's why he's kind of the butt of the whole jokes.
Yeah. I do like kind of keep jumping back to the whole playing the chicken thing, but I do like there's the Morricone track that like that classical thing that was arriving from like one of the Clint Eastwood films. I forget which one it is.
Like the Standoff.
Yeah, almost like a thing. I did like that aspect as well. That it's kind of a sort of nice little extra thing thrown in. It's got nothing to do with like the main soundtrack of the thing. So I thought it was a really good aspect of it.
Yeah, it's that big standoff there, and then in the end there, they end up just like, okay, we're all good with all this. And then Gavin starts. That's the part of Gavin where he starts to have that character development there into a good person there with apologizing to Simon there, and then he really starts to become part of the crew there, where he's like he's known as the biggest disc jockey in the world there, and then he starts to melt into the rest of the crew there as part of the family after that chicken part there, and that's when you start to enjoy him a little bit more as a character. He's still got that kind of jerkiness to him, but he gets a lot better from that part on.
He does get a little bit better. It's still no count though for me. And if I have to pick, it would be the count. But
yeah, absolutely,
no brainer. But I did love the fact that when they jumped off the with the chicken and they both jumped into the water, you literally get to the shot where Count has kind of looks like he's damaged his arm.
Bruised.
Yeah, and then he's hurt his fingers and he's all bruised up, bless him. And you're thinking, oh well, Gavin looks like he's got out fine.
Brilliant. But then when he walks up, he's got his leg, and it was like his foot's been in a cast and everything.
And you're like, oh good, I'm glad that both of them are.
His foot's wrapped up and he's limping. So this was actually like an actual thing that happened over there for you guys, though, right? Wasn't there? Well, you guys weren't alive back then, but back in the '60s, there was actually a pirate radio station out there, though, wasn't there?
I did look into this actually, but I think it's sort of loosely based on a radio ship. So obviously it's a bit fairly fictional, but I think it is semi based on real events that did happen, because I can believe that, like you say, like the people in the sort of like the government would be like, oh no, we can't let this music be played because it's too rash and everything. So it's it's just how that people were not accepting of.
Yeah, but something like that though, where it could like push out. I mean, it focuses mainly on rock, but it says that it mentions popular music throughout a lot of the movie, where Twat says that he likes classical music, not pop. And then you kind of see that towards the end there, during the end credits there, when it's popping up albums.
Yeah.
It's rock album. Then Taylor Swift, Fearless pops up. I'm like, what? And then I had to reference back there, because then Eminem pops up. I'm like, oh, okay, it's just popular music.
Yeah.
And then rock's been going for 70 years now since it changed from rockabilly.
Yeah.
And something like that's going to push that way more mainstream.
That was a nice. Well, I thought it was a nice song to end on with the David Bowie "Let's Dance."
Yeah.
Sophie's not a really big fan of David Bowie, though.
No, that sounds really strange, doesn't it? Lol, his face.
But that's like that's my favourite Bowie song.
I've been scared from a young age. It's been literally one of those things where, it's like a torture chamber of David Bowie for me as I grew up. So, normally you kind of love the music that your parents play. But, like, if you're listening to David Bowie 24 hours a day, you're going to grow to hate them.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's happened. Instead of growing to love it, it's gone the opposite way. And any David Bowie song, I'm just like, I'm not a big fan. I'm like, you love it. You think it's amazing, and you love to torture me with him, don't you?
Not purposely, but I just really just like. I think he's just a fantastic artist. God rest his soul.
He just makes up lyrics, though, don't he? None of them make sense.
It was the 70s. I'm sure there was something influencing it back then.
Isn't the case for most pop and rock music? Everything about it.
Yeah.
Probably just the drugs.
Oh, I like a lot of the bands you hear them referencing where like the drugs drive it. Like you listen to any Oasis interview, he just says, "Yeah, I was pretty high back then when I wrote that."
Yeah. Like the Beatles, you were saying they were known for.
After a certain point, they start taking drugs, and then like.
Is that when the animal noises came into it?
Yeah, like from like Sgt. Pepper and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's a turn of it.
Yeah, like Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds is the same as LSD there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, like Rocket Man, I was quite gullible with that because I love Elton John, don't I?
Yeah.
And I didn't know all his history beforehand because obviously I didn't really Google into it or anything like that. And you were like that. I just imagined it was a man going to the moon, but then you were like, no, it's to do with drugs. So you're like, no, it's not.
Like any of these music biographies they do, or have done, or are going to do, somewhere in there, All these big bands were involved in drugs in one shape or another. I think probably the biggest one there was The Dirt, that Motley Crue biopic. Like a guy legitimately, like he OD'd from heroin, and then came back to life, and then he went home and did heroin again. But then you listen to their songs, like they're crazy, great songs.
Yeah, that's true. There must be something behind it.
I'm just saying, a lot better than anything I hear on the radio nowadays.
Yeah, people do say like, what is going to be the next big thing in terms of music that's going to, like, obviously they've paved the way from the music back in the day. It's hard now. Most pop does, to me, certainly does sound the same nowadays. With the mainstream charts, it's a little bit like I could like listen to a song like, oh, who's that? It's some other nobody that's popped up on the scene. Like,
you sound old.
But I don't know if you feel the same way or not. But
yeah, I mean, it's a lot of it's so repetitive, and I mean, I don't mind a few pop songs and whatnot here and there, but I think with Greta Van Fleet, there were a bunch of these four boys from Michigan, where I'm from here, and they sounded just like Led Zeppelin. And the fact that these kids had to dump their prom dates to go on a world tour because they sound exactly like Led Zeppelin, completely sold out. So I think that gave me a little bit more hope that music's going to change here a little bit. But I think the early 2000s rock kind of ruined it there. It wasn't anything special. It was all pretty simple, all the same thing. And then that's where pop and rap got to sneak in there and take over there. But it all fluctuates, so everything repeats itself eventually on the trends that go.
Yeah, trends always come back round. Everyone likes the vintage stuff, and then that comes back. So it's almost like with Greta Van Fleet and sounded like Led Zeppelin. It's almost like you've got to almost mimic a style from a past band. So, like, say somebody did almost exactly the same with the Beatles, then they'd be like super famous. Almost just to get that right.
I think that already happened though with the Beatles, where I guess Oasis kind of like filled those shoes there, where they don't sound the exact same, but they kind of took on that later role. Even though George Harrison said he hates them so much.
Well, they're dropping like lines from their songs or albums every opportunity that they can. Really, it's kind of like just Yellow Submarine, Magical Mystery, whatever. Yeah, just throwing those things. Can you tell that we love the Beatles?
Yeah, like Yellow Submarine, and then Supersonic Train, and it's like you guys just slightly mixing it, changing it up there so you don't get fully sued there. Give it time. Rock's gonna be back up on the top of the charts there.
Okay, so if we're good to go to the scoring, I think, if that's all right with you.
Yeah.
To give you a bit of context, it's normally 10 being the highest, 1 being the lowest,
obviously.
And you can have 6.5s and such.
Yeah, you can have 0.5. So yeah, whatever you want to. So we'll go with you first.
I'd probably give it about an 8. The story, once you've watched it once, it's like, okay, that's the story, and there's a couple funny parts in there, and they did a great job on the movie. But I think that soundtrack there is the big thing that keeps it going there. And it's not quite like a comedy that you see nowadays. So it does have that little bit of rewatchability there. But yeah, I'm thinking 8 just because the rewatchability there isn't the highest there. But that soundtrack there and the actual characters there, they blend well together there. So going solid 8.
Okay.
Are you going to go next?
So similar on what you've said, obviously the soundtrack is very, very, very good and very into, like I say, like how I was so into what the songs were. I had to go and find the music from it and then add it to my iTunes collection, all that stuff. But I think I've seen it quite a few times now. So for me, it is a 7, really. It sits at a 7. It's like a good solid, like in the middle ground of thing. It's not spectacular in terms of the storyline. There are times when the people you kind of like, I want to focus a little bit more, maybe more. There's a lot of characters to work with in terms of trying to get everybody's story. It's quite a lengthy film, so like 2 hours 15 minutes, which I didn't actually realise. I thought it was maybe like just less than 2 hours. But
yeah,
I guess to thread out the story and the plot and almost every single character's involvement in the thing with enough screen time for everybody. But I think it's very solid and do recommend it, especially if you're a big fan of music of this 60s 70s soundtracking things for me. So yeah,
I'm listening and I'm like, I don't know what to score it. Like, I'm nodding along, going, yeah, valid points. I think you'd already told me. Well, I go into watching these films and I know nothing. Literally, Paul
Most
shows
of the
me.
time, yeah, unless we've seen it before, we're just having a
Yeah. But really, normally these are like.
Yeah, because the only one that was the other way was Aladdin, right?
Yes. So I'd actually seen Aladdin.
Other one as well. It's some things like You've Got Mail.
Oh yeah, all the chick flick ones.
Chick flicks, yeah.
Is normally Sophie, who hasn't seen a film, so I'm kind of like showing her like some of the stuff that I like and seeing how she reacts to them. Really,
we can say educating, don't we? That's how we word it. Educating me in films, really, because my film history used to be just chick flicks, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like literally, that was it. That's all I would watch. I didn't like watching anything scary.
Some of the picks have been really good. Like I was thinking about which ones we could do, and then I scrolled through. I'm like, okay, they already did Reservoir Dogs. They already did Pulp Fiction. They already did Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah.
This is all you, because I have not seen any of them. So he loves it for the factor, because literally I wouldn't go out of my way and pick it. And I used to not watch old films either, did I? It'd be only if it was quite new, I'd be watching it if it was in the cinema or something.
So it's like when we did like Hitchcock Month, and you really enjoyed.
I did actually
those as well, and things like Casablanca and things like that.
I used to hate anything black and white and subtitles. It was like that would be my worst fear of putting a film on. So obviously we've got a point because it's in colour. I think for me it was more because I know what Love Actually is, so I know the director. So I kind of already, when you said that to me, maybe you shouldn't have said it. I already got Love Actually in my head, and that's like a 10 for me.
Like a high bar, yeah.
It's a high one. And then obviously this one I feel like has got more like a man kind of vibe to it. It's a little bit more aimed at a men humour. Yeah. So some of the stuff that you laughed at, I know I'm really bad at comedy. I'm one of those, like, not like I'm a snob or anything, but like you put Borat on and I hated it. I'm not very good with some of the humour, I guess. It's wasted on me.
Yeah, it wasn't too like wacky.
Oh no. Oh God, don't even start with Adam Sandler. I hate him. Like anything like that, I would be like, this is my worst nightmare.
Oh dang! I should have said something like Big Daddy or something.
Oh no!
Just make you suffer through it.
Paul would have loved it. I'd have been like spitting feathers afterwards. I'd be like, I'm writing all these horrible things. So I think I'm gonna go with. It's not going to be lower than a 5 because it really was like the music drived it and everything like that. All the comments that you guys have said, it's got valid points, valid characters. It's got a family towards it, which I always appreciate. But I think I'm aiming, just because of the fact that you said it was the director of Love Actually, it's going to be a 6.5 from me. And I know that's not giving the film justice. It's more the fact that I went in with
expecting something,
massive expectations.
Whereas something where the director went completely different with what he normally does there.
I think a little bit. They still had the side characters, so you do have that kind of Love Actually feel of you having so many characters and getting to understand them, and I think that is definitely how Love Actually is.
And the British humour, I guess. A
bit of the British humour, but About Time as well. You probably won't want to watch that because that is definitely literally a chick flick.
Yay.
It's really lovely, and I think that's for me. But I really did enjoy it. Apart from the fact that they had to end on David Bowie on the end as well. Like, why would you do that?
Because David is a rock icon.
No, everyone's deluded. That's the thing. They're just deluded by this David Bowie, like, that came along and looks like he can sing, but he's not. Yeah.
It seems kind of hit or miss though for the like. I've listened to the Who so much, and like still to this day, it's like. Even if you do listen to them a lot, like with you with David Bowie, if you don't like absolutely love them, then you're gonna go crazy with them. But if you do absolutely love them, then you just eat that stuff up all day.
Yeah, that's true. It's like Tom Jones is a bit of another one for me. My dad we went to France and back, and my dad put Tom Jones on the same CD all the way there and all the way back. Ooh. And like I can't listen to What's New Pussycat songs or anything like that.
Oh, I couldn't imagine. I could not imagine. I can take him in doses. That's about it.
So please feel sorry for me.
It's not her fault. It was her upbringing.
But Definitely. That's why you're here to educate me now, isn't it?
Yeah, I tried.
Yeah, you do. You're doing good.
So yeah, that's the episode. Thank you very much, Mike, for joining us on this.
No problem. Thank you for having me, guys.
It's been brilliant. I've really enjoyed it, and
Yeah,
I've loved
yeah.
a bit of an insight of any American person, and the fact I'm literally the cracker thing. I'm gonna be telling everybody about that.
Yeah, I'm quite flabbergasted.
I think I might go on Amazon this year and order some there so we can mix it
Yeah.
up at least for the holidays.
Yeah.
Definitely. Tell me what you think of it. You'll probably be thinking, why the hell have I even bought these? It's a pile of rubbish.
Yeah. Yeah, so if you want to just give a quick reminder of where people can find you, if you want to promote yourself.
Yeah, sure. Basically any social media, if you guys type in Millitello, you're gonna find me. There's a couple of them where it says Millitello too, but for the most part, everything's Millitello. You can find me on YouTube, Millitello there, where I got gameplay as well as my podcast. The name of my podcast is Professionally Amateur. You can find that on Spotify or anywhere you guys get your podcasts at. Here soon enough, within the early next year, I'll be back to video game streaming, where you'll be able to find me on twitch.tv/Millitello.
Yeah, fantastic.
I think that's all of them.
Great stuff. So thank you very much for listening, everybody. You can find us under the handle SP Film Viewers on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and then of course you can find our episodes on iTunes, Spotify, and wherever else you might get your podcasts from.
Thank you so much for listening. I hope that you've enjoyed what we've had to say. It's been lovely to have a guest as well, so thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much again.
I've really enjoyed myself. So any films you do have that you want to give us to recommend, and if you want to do this again, I am definitely open to that.
Yeah, definitely on board to do this again at some point.
Hey, if you guys ever want to do a Kevin Smith movie, I am totally down.
Cool. Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, I haven't seen many of his actually, other than like Clerks and Mallrats.
Jay and Silent Bob.
Yeah, Jay and Silent Bob. Yeah,
Dogma was a great one.
So yeah, no, at some point we might do a thing of that as well. So yeah.
Yeah, I've not seen any of them, so
yeah,
that's fine.
Right. So thank you once again, everybody, and we'll speak to you next time.
Thank you very much. Speak to you next time. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.